CBS.
In the news this Tuesday night, the developers of a cheese plant in Waunakee get the official green light over and above their neighbors' protests.
A scary, smoky afternoon for some residents of a downtown apartment building. Also tonight, the latest on the end of the Marcos era. And Dana says the end of winter still a ways away.
And in sports, a battle for prime court time is brewing between men and women cagers. All the details next on News 3.
The Tony Award-winning National Theater of the Deaf. These are actors who weave a magic web of sign language and the spoken word. They have been called a national treasure. Capture the magic of these theatrical champions. Come see and hear every word.
Coming to the Civic Center Thursday, February 27th. For tickets, call 266-9055.
Northrop King Seed Days, February 15 through 28. Save a big 6% discount when you pay for area-proven alfalfas like Drummer, our strong-standing corn hybrids, or high-yielding soybeans. You really are money ahead paying at Northrop King Seed Days, since our 6% discount really amounts to a 24% annual rate of return. Come on in, pick up and arrange delivery, and pay for your 1986 seed needs. Your participating dealer has this great Northrop King jacket, yours free with a qualifying order.
Burning the midnight oil and worrying won't make your taxes disappear. But talking to someone at Baraboo Federal about placing some of your hard-earned money in a tax-sheltered IRA will sure help. You won't pay taxes until withdrawal. And the dividends are tax-sheltered, too. Stop at Baraboo Federal Savings and Loan tomorrow and rest easy tonight.
Come on home to Baraboo Federal. Baraboo Federal Savings and Loan.
Wagon headquarters, Don Miller Dodge unveils an extraordinary station wagon, the 86 Colt Vista. Featuring on-demand four-wheel drive and room for 7, the 86 Vista offers all the extras you'd expect from a Don Miller wagon, including an unbeatable Don Miller price. Van shoppers, the hard-to-find state-of-the-art 86 Dodge Caravans are available for immediate delivery at Don Miller. Innovatively designed, the front-wheel drive Caravan provides spacious comfort without sacrificing performance. Shop Dane County's price and performance leader, Don Miller Dodge.
Sally looks at drug addiction in our hospitals, Wednesday.
This is News 3.
Good evening, I'm Ken Rice.
And I'm John Karcher. There is going to be cheese in Waunakee.
John, residents there turned out at a Village Board of Appeals meeting tonight to protest the construction of a new cheese processing plant. But as News 3's Jill Johnson reports, they were disappointed with the results.
Should Waunakee have a new cheese reprocessing plant downtown on Main Street? Waunakee's Board of Appeals said yes tonight. The board held a public hearing to decide whether to grant a variance to Case House. The building was 95% complete when it was red tagged last week and construction was halted. About 30 residents turned out tonight, most vigorously opposed to the new plant.
Board of Appeals first heard about this building that they didn't say right away upon hearing how many employees would be there. They didn't say, well, where are they all going to park? I can't imagine that they didn't ask that.
Dave Leffelholtz owns a salon next door. The plant was constructed closer to his property line than it should have been.
I don't believe this building can be on a commercial lot. I believe it is zoned Industrial 1.
The plant could employ 45 to 60 people. A former village president spoke in favor of it.
He's being stymied because maybe some things haven't been done the way they should have been. Those things should have been stopped by a building inspector a long time ago.
Tonight's decision means the plant will be completed, provided the owner complies with several changes, including providing more parking. Jill Johnson, WISC, News 3.
Residents of a mostly student-occupied downtown apartment building had a pretty good scare this afternoon. A second-floor kitchen fire sent thick black smoke throughout the six-story building. For two residents who couldn't reach stairwells, a fire department ladder, the only path to safety. Barefooted Jim Underkoffler says the smoke was starting to get the better of him when firefighters came to his rescue.
I'm a little lightheaded. I don't know what kind of smoke it is, but it's It was real thick, and
down through the
I knew from that I shouldn't try to get through it, so I just locked myself in a room.
Another resident was treated for smoke inhalation and released shortly after that. Total damage estimate at the complex set at $17,000 to $20,000.
At Milton High School this morning, a chilly reception for marijuana advocates. Milton was one of 16 schools picked for distribution of a pro-pot book. Milton was selected because of its drug policy requiring urine tests of students suspected of using drugs. Most students today defended that policy while accepting what the pot advocates called new information on the weed.
We are doing the free giveaway of the book to high school students in selected communities across the nation that have traditionally had a history of very intense efforts against marijuana consumption in the high schools.
If it's necessary to force students to get into it with the urine test, then that's the way to go.
They're not giving our kids enough credit. I think that they can look beyond what they have to say in that particular booklet.
The pro-pot book contains information its sponsors say isn't given in the schools, and they say they'll be back at Milton tomorrow in hopes of gaining support. It wasn't an athletic contest or a pep rally that brought a packed Memorial High School gym to its feet this morning. It was Jesse Jackson.
And he wasn't collecting votes. Instead, Mr. Jackson was in Madison condemning drugs and teenage sex. Among those in the audience, News 3's Joel Despain.
Memorial High School students were told history had come to them.
Your struggle is not...
Jackson told the teenagers he sees a character crisis in their generation which may hamper their ability to achieve and succeed. Among other things, the former presidential candidate came down hard on teenage sex.
Sex is a thrill, so is graduating on time.
Possibly the biggest roadblock in character development, says Jackson, is drug abuse.
I've seen too many blown minds. I've watched too many dreams turn to nightmares. I've preached too many funerals.
The speech became a pep rally as Jackson led students in cheers.
Down with dope. Up with hope. Down with dope. Up with hope.
A majority of the students cleared the bleachers as Jackson asked anyone who has ever used drugs to come forward.
Give me the strength. Give me the strength to say no, to drugs, to liquor, to sex without love. Give me the
Students say Jackson's words rang true.
I'm going to make a lot of changes in my life. You know, hearing what he had to say was influential to me.
After donning a Memorial High t-shirt, Jackson was off. Many students agreed what they had been told beforehand was true. This was a historical event. One, some say, may prove to be a turning point in their lives. Joel Despain, WISC News 3.
Coming up on News 3 tonight, he is a man without a country, and there are lots of questions as to where he'll go and what he'll do.
Small-town girl makes it in the big city. Right. Yeah, another fun-filled Friday night. Back home, it'd be pizza with the gang. I sure miss them.
Stay close with Wisconsin Bell Long Distance.
Like a favorite chair that feels so right, a cuddly bear to hold at night. Cottony soft cottonelle is one of the comforts of home.
Cottonelle bathroom tissue. Of course it isn't cotton, but it is cottony soft.
Like a faded knit that doesn't fit, or slippers that are worn a bit. Cottony soft cottonelle is one of the comforts of home.
Just look at what only $30 a month buys that American. This perfectly matched Marantz stereo system with remote control. 60 total watts of power, built-in graphic equalizer, a digital tuner with 16 presets, and its remote control, all for only $30 a month. The system even comes with a double dubbing cassette deck, all enclosed in this beautiful glass audio cabinet. Best of all, the complete remote control Marantz stereo system is just $4.95 or just $30 a month. No payments till May on American's credit card. If you don't have one, get one.
Former Philippine President Ferdinand Marcos and his family arrived on Guam about 3 hours ago at Anderson Air Force Base.
Marcos is scheduled to have a medical checkup at a U.S. Naval hospital there, but it still remains uncertain as to where the ex-president will go next. Word that Marcos had resigned this morning was met with jubilation by thousands of Philippine residents. Others, not content that the Marcos family had cleared out, ransacked the presidential palace, looting and destroying any symbols of the former royal family. As supporters for the new President Corazon Aquino called for peace, the U.S. quickly recognized the new government, even as some lawmakers called for caution in how new ties with the Philippines are developed.
The behind-the-scenes negotiations were helped in large part by a close friend of both President Reagan and Marcos, Nevada Senator Paul Laxalt. Leslie Stoll reports now Marcos's last hours were extremely difficult as he made the final decision to leave office.
It was 3 a.m. in Manila. Marcos said he was afraid the palace would be stormed. He told Laxalt he didn't want to come to the United States and instead asked if he could share power with Mrs. Aquino.
He was hanging on. He was looking for a life preserver. I sensed that he was a desperate man, clutching at straws, trying to work out something that would keep him somewhere in the power structure.
Laxalt rushed to a White House meeting with President Reagan, who said power sharing would be undignified, but that we would like to guarantee to Marcos his peace, safety, and dignity. Laxalt called Marcos back with that message, but even after Marcos agreed to leave the palace, he was still asking to remain in the Philippines to die in his own country. But officials say the Aquino people did not want him to stay. President Reagan was applauded for his delicate handling of the crisis.
His leadership has been important, it has been significant, and it has been skillful, and deserves credit for it.
U.S. officials say that Marcos has had difficulty grasping the reality and gravity of his situation. They say he is very sick, and once he lands in Guam, will most likely check into the U.S. military hospital there. Leslie Stahl, CBS News, the White House.
Wisconsin Senator Robert Kasten was among those who welcomed the news of Marcos's resignation today. In fact, Kasten said the U.S. had no choice but to work for Marcos's removal from office.
And it would have been a terrible mistake, I think, if the U.S. policy had been to continue to support Marcos, whose election was clearly flawed, and it would have been a major mistake for us if we had stuck with Marcos instead of pushed him aside.
Kasten said with the new government of Corazon Aquino in place, he foresees an even closer U.S.-Philippine relationship in the future.
The embattled head of NASA has finally resigned. That word today from the White House. James Begg stepped aside as the boss last December after being indicted on fraud charges. William Graham is now acting head of the agency, which has been rocked by the failed Challenger mission last month. And in Washington, the panel assigned by the president to probe what happened to Challenger got more shocking news today. An engineer from the company that makes the rocket boosters testified he had warned NASA about the effect the cold temperatures might have had on the boosters. Alan McDonald told the Shuttle Commission his warnings and advice to hold the launch were discounted by NASA officials, who in turn pressured Morton Thiokol into agreeing that the launch would go on.
Still to come on News 3, Dana's got all the wonderful weather details, and chances are you won't like it.
And a bit later, why is this woman in court? Charles Carroll has the answer.
Women's Center at Methodist Hospital. It doesn't look like a hospital. It's more like a library where women can be informed about health issues. It's a relaxing place with works by women artists. Down the hall, there are private rooms for osteoporosis and breast screening. Call if you have any questions. Better yet, stop in. It's the first women's health resource center of its kind in Madison. Women's Center. It'll make a difference in your life.
When I see that morning light, I think this dairy life's alright. For silage, corn, and hay, I'm thinking Bronx G all the way. 'Cause when I'm thinking about planting seed and all the tonnage that I need, I'm thinking Bronx G. I'm thinking Bronx G.
See, you don't have to pay rent for the rest of your life.
The Stark Company has been helping first home buyers longer than any other Dane County realtor, helping people like you find the right home with the right features in the right location.
Oh, I love that neighborhood.
And we'll even find the best financing for you.
We can afford that.
Looking for your first home? Trust our reputation and expertise. The Stark Company. We make dream homes come true.
Save now on the GE housewares you've always wanted at Shopko, like GE's 3-speed portable mixer with convenient fingertip speed control, $9.99 after $3 rebate. GE's Light and Easy steam and dry iron, lighter to handle, easy to use, $12.99 after $2 rebate. And GE's can opener, hands-free operation lets you open cans quickly and easily, $9.99 after $3 rebate. So save now on the GE housewares you've always wanted at Shopko.
Buckle up or pay up. That'd be the case here in Wisconsin under a bill passed today by the state Senate.
John seatbelt supporters, however, say the bill was so watered down by amendments that it'll be hard to get through the Assembly and tough to enforce if signed into law. The Senate voted 24-8 to approve the seatbelt requirement, which only allows police to ticket violators if they break some other traffic rule.
I think law enforcement officers should be going on a fishing expedition and stopping cars to see if they have you have your seatbelt fastened or not.
Well, then what's the purpose of having the law if there, you know, a senator from Kenosha says, well, it can't be enforced. Well, you do this, well, there's no way it can be enforced then, because no one can ever get a ticket unless they're first violating some other laws.
The Senate also amended the bill to give traffic violators one less demerit point if they were wearing a seatbelt when pulled over.
Can you be fined for not shoveling your own driveway?
Is that what you're going to do?
Haven't you had it?
Yeah.
Haven't you had it?
But I've got a husband that'll take care of that.
Haven't you had it?
I've had it. It's almost March here.
And you have a young back and you're still.
That's right.
But normally we still get snow through April, at least a little bit. So this is just February. We're not out of winter yet.
Thanks.
Oh, well. We're less than a foot away from the all-time record snowfall amount.
Well, let's go for it then.
Why not?
Let's
We're
go.
that close. Let's do it. In Madison today, look at the record high. 58 degrees back in 1932. Boy, we were a far cry from that. 30 degrees is our high today. We've officially had 0.8 of an inch of snow through 10 o'clock at Truex Field and a little more off toward the east where the snow has now been going on for quite some time. Here's the situation as far as our temperatures are concerned today. Boy, look at that warm air. It really missed us by a long cry, though, with 30s and 20s in Wisconsin. Here we were in the cool spot. Out toward the west, record heat over the central sections of the nation. 75 degrees at North Platte, Nebraska was a record high today, but that heat is not going to be coming our direction. For us, we're going to have some wet weather on the satellite view starting out with sunshine today. Clouds have been rolling in overhead, and it appears we're going to stay in the clouds for the night tonight, probably at least a day and a half before we get out of the clouds. Clouds extend all the way up into Canada. We've got a double-barreled storm that's going to be rolling through for us to give us both snow and freezing rain. Now, at the present time, we're in the snow. There's rain down in southern Illinois, changing over to snow in northern Illinois and southern Wisconsin. But as you can see, we're just getting on the back edge of the snow at the present time, at least the main area of snow. Then behind it, there's some scattered areas of snow into Minnesota where it changes over to freezing rain. And that's still yet to come for us here. And it looks like that could bring some icy road conditions tonight. What's causing all of this is a warm front moving in from the west. This is bringing in some warm air aloft, which has caused the freezing rain in the west. And it does appear that it'll be coming a little bit closer by, and it's also causing some very unstable air conditions, and that means we're going to stay in the snow, so travel is going to be a little tough. Winter weather advisories are in effect for late tonight and Wednesday for south central Wisconsin. The advisory should be ending early tomorrow morning for the southwest, where the snow should be ending just a little bit sooner. For tomorrow, we can expect some snow and freezing rain. It looks like that should be tapering off to flurries in the afternoon, and as we progress into Thursday, a little more sunshine. Friday looks dry and also a little bit colder. More in the forecast coming up next.
Seems like everybody has some sort of deal on trucks, but at Smart Motors you get all the facts up front. We believe nobody but nobody can undersell us on Toyota trucks, and not just a few select models either, but on all Toyota trucks. So if you're in the market for a new Toyota truck, stop by Smart Motors, Odana Road.
Sure, farming's always been our way of life, but it's our business, too.
So we have to get our money's worth out of everything that goes into our farm.
Like our corn. We have to look at things like first-pass weed control, help control our bottom line. We've got to become better business people if we're going to make it.
And we are going to make it.
Oh, you bet we are.
For more information on First Pass Weed Control, call 1-800-631-3823.
Roads are snow-covered and slippery right now, and they could get a little bit worse when the freezing rain comes in late tonight. Currently at Truex Field, we have light snow in progress, 28 degrees, 28 at Channel 3. Our winds are from the south at 14, dew point of 26, and the humidity 92%. The forecast tonight, a winter weather advisory in effect with periods of snow, a little bit of sleet and freezing rain coming in later on. Snow accumulations from 1 to 3 inches, low temperature 24. For tomorrow, still the advisory in effect ending early in the day, though, in the west. A chance of snow and freezing rain up to an additional inch of accumulation, 34 degrees. And then on Thursday, mostly cloudy, maybe a few flurries early in the day, although partly cloudy skies by the afternoon. High temperature 30 degrees. And the extended outlook, dry weather Saturday and Sunday. Those look pretty good, but a little bit colder. And we're on our last week of weather questions. This one comes in tonight from Tony Hying of Platteville, Wisconsin, saying, how do you get the height and direction of the upper air current or jet stream?
You climb our tower.
That may be one way.
Lick your finger.
Well, twice a day, a helium balloon is sent up from 130 National Weather Service stations across the country, and a package of instruments is carried by the balloon that contains sensors for temperature, moisture, and pressure. By tracking the balloon, a receiver at the ground can calculate the wind speed and direction while receiving all the other data via radio transmission. All this information is put into a computer, and a map of the whole nation is plotted out so we get the information that way. And as you can imagine, this is pretty expensive. These boxes of instruments cost about $30 a piece. You're talking about $4,800 a crack for every day.
What happens to them?
Some of them drop down and are returned to the National Weather Service. Some are lost for good.
Swell. Good use of tax dollars.
Thanks, Dan.
All right, thanks. Sports is next. Make it 9 in a row for the Red Hot Bucks. Van's got the Red Hot highlights and more when we come back.
There's a tradition of friendliness in America, a tradition of people taking time to share their joy and sorrow. Young and old, friend to friend, helping each other make moments better. This tradition is part of our heritage that has lasted for over 200 years. At Schrader Funeral Home, this tradition goes on. Our family serving your family. Schrader Funeral Home, now into our 79th year of service.
Something new is on the rise in corn country. New G4211 from Funks. A high-performance 95 to 98-day hybrid backed by years of testing and replicated trials and at farmers' fields. Put your new G4211 together with Funk's new G4326 for a strong performance team. Ask your Funk's G dealer about new G4211 and new G4326.
Something new is on the rise.
It's the end of the month sale at Coil Carpet. Quality jute back carpets at great closeout prices, only $3.99 to $9.99 a square yard. Roll ends too. Hundreds of roll ends are on sale now. There's roll after roll of rubber back carpet too, starting at $3.99 per square yard. Don't let the best buy get away. Come in today for your choice of color and style at tremendous savings during the February end of the month sale at Coil Carpet on the Beltline behind the Coliseum.
It's the video station's annual Consumer Electronics Show. See tomorrow's innovations today. VHS HQ, VHS Hi-Fi, Super Beta, Beta Hi-Fi, and the format of the future, 8mm. See televisions with MTS technology. All video recorders, TVs, cameras, and audio are on sale with no payments until June. The Consumer Electronics Show, on now at all 3 video station locations.
Video station.
The Bucks are hot.
They're hitting on all 6 cylinders right now. After winning 4 straight on the road, the Bucks finally returned home to the Mecca. This game also marked the return of ex-Milwaukee Stars Junior Bridgman and Marcus Johnson to the arena. Don Nelson's club wasn't too kind to their ex-teammates. Milwaukee broke open a close game with a 7-0 spurt in the first period. Paul Pressey keyed that break with a corner shot. The Clippers' 7-foot rookie Benoit Benjamin rejected Terry Cummings, but the always tough Buck defense came right back to make the steal, and Cummings eventually gets the bucket. He led Milwaukee with 16. Randy Brewer added 15. The victory was Milwaukee's 9th straight. That's the longest current winning streak in the NBA. Michael Ray Richardson's NBA career is over. The guard for the New Jersey Nets has been permanently banned from the league after his 3rd drug offense. Richardson could seek reinstatement in 2 years, but for that to happen, the move must be approved by the Players Association as well as the league.
This is a tragic day for Michael Ray Richardson. What we have seen here is nothing less than the destruction by cocaine of a once flourishing career.
Title IX could change the Friday night prep basketball lineup. There's a growing controversy that may put the girls in the spotlight.
Just some of the information we've gathered along the way
has indicated that there are not equal opportunities for girls and boys.
In late January, the League of Women Voters, along with groups representing NOW and the American Association of University Women, filed discrimination complaints against the Madison and Sun Prairie school districts. The major problem, they felt the scheduling of girls' basketball games should be provided with the same kind of opportunities that the boys now have.
Girls that are traveling in the Big 8 conference to Janesville and Beloit come home very late at night. And so they're at a great disadvantage on those Fridays when they do have tests and papers due.
That's not to say that other athletic teams are faced with similar problems. For Memorial's athletic director, Gary Colpeen, he, like his administrative counterparts in the Big 8, feel that moving the girls' games could create a whole new set of troubles.
If we went doubleheaders on Friday night or alternate sites on Friday night, it would really affect a lot of the winter sports schedules that use a gymnasium. Boys and girls gymnastics, wrestling.
Time is another factor in attempting to come up with a solution. The women's groups would like to see a new schedule implemented by next year.
We believe it is a very reasonable request.
I'm scheduling assuming it is not going to change. I've never known things to change that quick.
None of them have ever come to me and said, hey, you know, we want to play on Friday night because that makes us more equal. You know, it would be nice to hear that from them.
It is the law, has been the law since 1972. And I think the law should be obeyed.
And Badger Conference administrators will receive a similar complaint from the 3 women's groups tomorrow. Meanwhile, in boys' prep action tonight, Marshall decision Cambridge. Barneville bested Albany. Eustisford by a baker's dozen over Deerfield. Blackhawk wins by 15. Iowa Grant topped Mineral Point. Randolph routed Fall River. Clinton clipped Evansville. Platteville ripped Lancaster. Mauston tripped up Sparta. Richland center edged Prairie du Chien. Belleville bounced Argyle. Lake Mills bested Waterloo. You know, injuries are a part of basketball, but it seems like Wisconsin has had more than its share this season. Now you can add Mike Heinemann's name to that list. The Badgers junior guard injured his knee in practice yesterday. He's doubtful for tomorrow night's game with Michigan. Should he not start, freshman Tom Molaski would get the call. And in college action tonight, Stevens Point topped Platteville to wrap up the league title. At Notre Dame, the Fighting Irish just about ended any hopes DePaul had for an NCAA title bid, or an invitational bid. Donald Roylo makes a nice baseline move, but all scores with 26. He also connected on 16 of 16 free throws, which set a Notre Dame record for accuracy in one game. The Irish roll to an 11-point win, and it's NIT time for DePaul if they're lucky. It was sectional hockey night, take 2. Tonight, Madison Memorial skated up against Middleton. The Spartans wasted little time in taking the lead. Kevin Harkins on a breakaway beat the Cardinal defense for a 1-0 advantage. Joe Olson picked up Memorial's second goal of the period. His first shot hit the pipe, but his persistence paid off. He got his own rebound and fired it past the netminder for a 2-0 lead. Just 31 seconds later, Tim Harvey closed out the scoring in the opening period. He wound up and just watched the defense fan open. His shot found the lower right corner. Memorial maintained that three-goal edge as they go on to win 4-1 to advance to the sectional semifinals. Another sectional action tonight. Craig skates past Parker, while Beloit skated circles around Stoughton. Well, the Padres didn't waste any time in finding a replacement for Dick Williams, who resigned as their manager yesterday. Steve Burrows will be San Diego's new skipper. His previous Major League managerial experience came with the Oakland A's. Burrows was the Padres' director of minor league instruction.
All righty. Thank you, Van. We'll be right back.
You can rely on M&I Banks for strength, security, and service. M&I Banks, your strong partner in the Madison metro area.
In countries you've never heard of. Through towns you could never find. Toyota has the corner on performance. Now it's at your Toyota dealers. 1986 MR2 twin-cam mid-engine two-seater. All-new 86 Celica GTS twin-cam, all-new front-wheel drive. Now, on top of reliability and dependability, your Toyota dealer has the corner on performance, too. Who could ask for anything more?
When tough cocklebur gets tougher to control in corn, get all the power you need to stop your toughest broadleaves in reduced tillage corn. Overpower broadleaves with Banvel herbicide. Get tough cocklebur control in corn clear to canopy with less stress and better yields than 2,4-D. Overpower broadleaves with Banvel herbicide.
She's 85 years old, and her hobby is feeding the ducks.
But little did she know her hobby would land her in court. Charles Carroll caught up with her just in time to find out what happened.
After 40 years of feeding the ducks who live in the pond beside her house, Lila Nickel was hailed into court by the city of New Brighton for the criminal offense of duck feeding. They might have added that she also feeds one white goose named Squawker. Today was her day in court.
They want me to stop feeding all of the ducks, and I cannot stop feeding the ones that come to my door every day.
Lila Nickel, 85, legally blind, alone in the world except for the ducks, faced 90 days in jail if convicted in a trial by jury. But within minutes, the jury came filing out. We've been dismissed, they said. And a few minutes later, with her lawyers beside her and wearing a little smile, Lila Nickel came out of the courtroom, too.
Yeah.
What did the judge decide exactly?
The judge decided that there was insufficient cause to bring criminal proceedings against her.
Lila, how do you feel about that? Well, I think it's just great. Great for the ducks.
Case dismissed, and with that, Lila Nickel went home. She went right outside with a bucket of corn. Squawker and the ducks were waiting for her. Charles Carrault, CBS News, on the road in New Brighton, Minnesota.
And finally tonight, News 3's John Karcher and photographer Mike Van Susteren were honored tonight for their work involving the Big Brothers and Big Sisters Agency. John and Mike, along with our Public Affairs Director Ellen Pritzko, recognized at the agency's annual dinner for their Wednesday's Child Features. An agency official said through their work over the past 2 years, awareness of the agency's goal in matching young boys and girls with adult role models has increased greatly. Congratulations, John.
Thank you.
And that's our report for now. Thank you for joining us. Good night.